I think we should just do a whole episode of Kid Talk.
Kid Talk.
Which actually, if we did a Kid Talk episode, it would be way more popular than the Atlantic City podcast.
Howdy, everyone. This is Thursday, April 6th, 2017, and this is episode 41 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. I am your host, Kyle Askin, and I'm joined, as always, by Craig Stone. What's going on, Craig?
Happy to be here, as always, ready to talk about Atlantic City.
That's pretty rude that I said I was the host, and I'm just joined by you. I think we're certainly co-hosts, and you've actually probably hosted more episodes than I have, if you want to say whoever reads the first line is the host.
I'm fine with it. I'm not offended. Others can be offended on my behalf.
Yeah. So the Orioles are undefeated, but they seem to also never actually play games. So I don't know what's up with that.
Yes.
It's pretty ridiculous that it's been play game, be off a day, play game, be off a day, right?
All while at home, which makes no sense. So
yeah, it's totally excessive and ridiculous, but undefeated so far. And better yet, it was the Blue Jays we beat twice, which I think is probably the team I would want to sweep the most out of all the teams.
Yeah, that's probably true. Certainly the history. I mean, it certainly doesn't make up for the wild card game, but
yeah, no, it's certainly not. But it makes me feel a little bit better on the inside. But I don't know, maybe the Nationals just because of all the crap I hear about the Nationals at work. But probably like for you, like the Yankees, just because of where you live. But
well, I never actually deal with Yankee fans really, so I don't unless I go to the stadium. Like, there's just people aren't really talking about it. Nobody at my work follows it, so I never really hear about it.
My work is all Washington fans, whether it be the Washington football team or the Nationals, and it's just incredibly annoying either way, so I root heavily against both of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I met up with Dr. Mike from You Can Bet on That last Wednesday night, I believe. For those of you who listen to that podcast, which you should, as I instructed everyone to do last episode, he came to MGM. He was in D.C. with his family, just kind of seeing the sights, and he went to National Harbor last Wednesday, and since I live 25 minutes away or something, I figured there was absolutely no reason for me not to go down there and meet him. Of course, other than the fact that we were playing at a $50 craps table, as predicted by you, I think.
Yeah, I joked about it, and I thought that was an exaggeration, but I guess not. $50.
Yeah,
Whew.
Yeah, it was pricey. I don't know if there might have been some $25 tables around, but I came in after he got there, so I was just looking for him, and he was playing at a $50 table, so I'm like, all right, I'll buy him for my $500, and whatever. I'll lose all my money quickly, but I'll still stand there and socialize and chat with him. But instead, I got the dice, and I think I had like a 30 to 45 minute roll.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was very good for me. And then the guy to my left, who was also a listener, if you can bet on that, I believe his name was Ethan, stepped up. He hit the all tall small. So I won over $1,000 on that bet. And, another bunch of money on the points he hit. So, yeah, instead of me just losing all my money quickly, which is what I imagined, I ended up being quite far up in that trip, despite, I think, the rest of the rolls not being super great after the fact, or after those first two rolls, but they were both so good that it ended up basically carrying me for the rest of the night. And I was there for a few hours, but you have any questions for me?
Well, we talked about how you were due for a win. You were on a little losing streak.
We talked about it a few episodes ago, how, I understand what the odds are, and I understand how, whatever, gambler's fallacy, and the fact that I was certainly not due for a win, but it was nice to go in there, and when I left being like, wow, you actually can win when you gamble sometimes.
You can leave the casino with more money than you came with.
It's like I had forgotten that was a thing that could happen.
It has happened before.
And it happened at MGM, so I did win quite a bit of money. I have to say that if you do listen to You Can Bet on That, Dr. Mike, I think, is exactly as you would imagine him to be. Quite gregarious, incredibly friendly. Just like I said, if you listen to that show, I think he was basically probably how you're imagining him. But it was really great to meet him. Had a lot of fun at the tables. Ended up winning some money, so it was a great experience all around.
Any different perspective about MGM? I know you went first and the first time and thought it was nice, but didn't think it was really worth gambling there. Does winning change your attitude?
No. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine what would make me go back there. Unless, and here's kind of like something else to talk about, is this week I am off work because basically my wife is out of town. She's in Italy with her best friend, just basically sightseeing and taking care of my kid and going to work each day. I figured sounded like it would be a lot, and I think now that we're 4/5 of the way through the week, I think it's kind of borne out. I think I'd be a crazy person right now if I was going in and dropping my kid off in the morning and going to work for 8 hours and picking him up on the way home and doing that instead of kind of relaxing during the day. So anyway, on Tuesday, for the first time in probably 10 years, I went up to Horseshoe in Baltimore and played some live cash poker.
Well, not the first time in 10 years you went to Horseshoe in Baltimore because it hasn't been
True.
there.
True. And it's not even the first time in 10 years I've played poker, but I think it's the first time I played cash at a casino in a long time.
So
I mean, we've done a couple tournaments together.
Well, we did one
at Bally's.
Well, we did 1-1 cash game at
Oh,
Bill's
that's
poker
true.
room.
You're right.
Yeah.
1-1.
I think that was our only session since I've been going with you that was not a tournament in poker.
Yeah, you're right. All right. You called me out. I am a liar. So that was probably 5 years ago?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yep. So anyway, I went up to Horseshoe and played some 1-3. It was good. I was down like $70. I made a couple bad decisions, I think, that just were because I was rusty, and I would like to think that when I was playing more frequently in 2006, 2007, I was pretty decent, but I'm definitely incredibly rusty now. And not only that, but poker is a totally different beast now than it was back then. I think people were absolutely horrible back then. But even sitting at that table, I felt like I was, if not already better than most of the people I was sitting with, I would be very shortly. So I don't know. It was fun. It's something that I'm considering doing tomorrow.
So how was the poker game and poker room at Horseshoe?
Well, it was I got there at 10:30 or something on a Tuesday morning, so it was pretty
early.
dead. There was one table going.
What did you play?
So it was 1-3 no limit.
Ah, so they only had one table and only no limit games, no nothing else.
Yeah.
Oh well.
The only table they had was 1-3 no limit. So I was pretty far down the wait list, but at 11, I guess the next shift came in and they opened up a second table. So that's what I started playing. There was also a $100 tournament which I was considering entering. Just something about that. It was a $2,000 guarantee, and it only had 10 entrants basically, so that it was definitely a plus EV thing. But I was enjoying playing my cash game, and I didn't want to be the 11th guy that entered and made them split the table. So
yeah, good point.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was good. It was enjoyable. It's something that I'm considering doing again tomorrow, depending on how I feel and what I feel like needs to get done around the house before. Well, my wife doesn't get home till late Saturday night, but before I am with Isaac all day on Saturday and don't have an opportunity to do anything.
So are you getting back into poker? Are you trying to sharpen up your game to play more on AC?
Maybe. I mean, the thing with poker is it's a big time sink, and I don't get to AC all that often. But I think I mentioned a few episodes ago on the podcast that poker's been something I've been starting to listen to some podcasts about. I think that it is something that fits my personality and I would be good at, just because I mean, I don't. I mean, just because you're in New Jersey, we don't play many games together. But I do play quite a few games, like board games and stuff. And I think that I think about things in the correct way. And I could just tell when I was at the poker table. I mean, people weren't really thinking of, people were thinking in like normal 1-3 terms, like, hey, on the flop, $10 is a small bet, like suspiciously small bet, $50 is a big bet, instead of thinking about things in terms of like, what your bet in compared to the size of the pot is. So I don't know. I think that's definitely a pretty beatable game. I don't know about 2-5, but it's not something that I'm interested in trying out for quite a while until I have proven to myself that I am good enough to actually beat the 1-3. I was actually very card dead the last like 2 or 3 hours I was playing as well, but I got quite a number of good cards at the beginning of the session.
So I was actually having this discussion with our friend Dave just the other day about playing poker at the casinos, which is something that I do very rarely. I mean, I think I've only done a couple of tournaments and played one cash game in the whatever now 7 or 8 years that we've been going to AC, or that I've been going to AC. And what I said to him was, I always tell myself, or not always, but I used to tell myself, like, yeah, I'll go play poker. It's a really slow burn. I mean, you've seen me play. I'm incredibly conservative.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, especially with a tournament, it's like, well, I could go sit down and play a tournament and it could take 3 or 4 hours. Or I could do literally anything else in Atlantic City. And when I'm given that choice, I almost always choose, like, just about anything else. I mean, I like poker when I'm playing, but certainly the last tournament we did where I was in for quite a while, I think I was in for, I don't know, 3 hours or more, and then finished not too far out of the cash. It's kind of like, oh, well, that was a lot of time. Where, like, we had talked about going out to dinner, and then, like, we totally ran well beyond reasonable dinner time. That was when we ended up at Bill's Gyro, which, just a note,
it's closed.
Bill's
Gyro.
Gyro.
It's not even in your agenda for today. But
no, so we should mention, that came up on Twitter. It's closed. There's a sign up saying, go somewhere else down the street. I'm assuming that means permanently, although who knows? Maybe it just means, like, for now, we're not open. Go check out this other place, but I don't know. It doesn't sound good. And we've gotten many reports on the Facebook group of people walking by and saying it is closed despite the never closed sign. So I don't know. It doesn't sound good for Bill's Gyro Souvlaki.
I know. And it's high quality too. It's upsetting. I think we all highly enjoyed our bills at 11 p.m. when we went that one random day.
Yeah, off season too.
Especially because it was literally the only thing open on the boardwalk.
Yeah, never closed, like they said. So that's kind of a harsh segue out of your casino reports into some news. But do you want to go ahead and get into the other thing?
Well, so before we do that, so you said that you in the past have not really played a lot of poker. Is it something you're kind of interested in doing sometime in the future, you think? Or is it just probably something that you're still going to end up being like, I'd rather do anything else?
Well, I have the opportunity to play online poker in New Jersey, and I have money in a party poker account just sitting there waiting for me to go play. And it's just never something that I want to use my time on.
Well, so I, being a denizen of the internet, also have the ability to play online poker, even if it's not, technically legal.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Kyle.
I do have an internet connection as well. So, but it's also something that I think I've done it like once in the last couple years. So it's not really something that is super interesting to me either, but I enjoyed my cash game kind of live experience.
See, so for me, I do not think I'm a very good player. I've had good runs at times with like friend games and stuff, and left feeling like good. And I feel like that's sort of a situation where it means that I'm just good enough to be dangerous to myself. Like, because I think you can sort of talk yourself into thinking you're better than you are. And then you start making moves that are ill-advised or you have not thought out. Because I think if you listen to this podcast, you recognize that I'm probably not as analytical as you are about decisions. And I mean, the fact that I can barely calculate a craps payout should tell you that things like, the odds of what cards are going to come out are not my strong suit. So, and the biggest thing is, like, I very much like to bounce around, and sitting down at a poker table, I don't necessarily have the attention span for that. So I think that's why I don't really see myself getting into a position where I think, I'm going to go play poker, unless I really committed to getting good at it and, like, playing online ahead of time, reading books, really honing my game. And otherwise, I just don't think I'm going to want to do it.
My opinion is, to me, I would guess that, like, just like our friends Taylor and Dave, who basically exclusively, if they're not in a tournament, play limit. They play 2-4 or 3-6 or whatever. That seems much more up your alley as well.
Yeah, but that's not fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could play no limit, and, like, here's the thing: like, are you going to lose that much money? Like, no, you really shouldn't. And I know that you said you're worried about like outsmarting yourself and, like, thinking you're good and, like, doing bad things, but it's all part of the process of learning and getting better and stuff. And, like, whatever, if you outsmart yourself and go all in, which doesn't sound like something you do, but if you outsmart yourself and, like, fold a better hand and, lose out on a couple $100 pot, is it really any different than outsmarting yourself and sitting down and playing blackjack and losing a couple $100?
No, well, I'll say it is, actually. And the reason I'll say it is because I have more fun with my blackjack time than with my poker time. So you mentioned the learning process, and I think that for me to be able to have that mindset, I'd have to care about getting better. And right now, I just don't care about getting better. I don't have any sort of long-term poker goals. And so, when I look around the casino and I have the option to go to the more exciting, in my mind, craps table or blackjack table, where I'm probably going to lose more faster than I would in the poker room, even as a not very good poker player, I look at the poker room and it even, limit where you're not going to lose too bad or too fast. Like, it just doesn't look like as people are having that much fun. Like, I've certainly walked by the poker room at Harrah's, and you just look around and you think, everybody here looks like they're at work. Like, this is not like a good time. It's not social. And so what I like about the casino is sort of the craziness and the sort of attention deficit disorder inducing sounds and everything. And when you go to the poker room, it takes you away from all that. So I don't know, maybe as I get older and calm down, I'll feel differently, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just a difference in our personalities, but, like, I naturally, like, anytime. Well, and here's the weird thing, right? Like, in blackjack, like, I will flat out admit, like, basic strategy down pat, and I'm like 95% of the way there, but basic strategy better than I do, right? Like, I will occasionally have to ask you, like, I have 15 against a 4, or, like, saw 15 against a 4. Do I hit or double, It's not something I know, and I
don't know that offhand right now, because I haven't studied it in so long, but there was a time when absolutely, like, any question I would have known.
Yeah, right. But that's, like, not something that, like, I don't care about that last, like, 0.05% or whatever in blackjack, but just the fact that I think it's, like, the competitive nature of poker, that it's, like, you sitting down, like, across from someone else, instead of, like, if you want to think about it in gaming terms, blackjack is PvE and poker is PvP. And just anytime, like, I sit down and it's, like, competition time, like, I just naturally think about things in that way and try to improve and get better, just because I think that's how I am.
So what, PvP being what, player versus player?
Player versus player, and PvE being player versus environment.
Yeah. I don't know. See, I don't even like it when I'm playing blackjack and somebody, like, makes comments about my play. So I'm always terrified that I'm going to do something stupid at the poker table and somebody's going to be like, "Oh, you idiot." And I mean, I would argue that it's probably more likely that somebody's going to give you shit at the blackjack table than at the poker table.
Well, it is. I mean, so, like, here's the thing. Like, one of my, like, awful things I did is whatever. Whatever. There was $250. There's probably $300 in this pot. And I had pocket jacks, and the flop came out, and I'd raised pre-flop and there'd been 2 callers, and the flop came out and it was like king blank blank. It was king 6-2 or something like that. And the first guy to act checks. I bet $50 into that pot, and then the woman to my left goes all in, and it was like 75 more or whatever, and the first guy folds, and then it's just me, and I'm, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this is like 75 to win 375. I'm like, I'm 5-1, but like, I don't know, sometimes you're sitting at the poker table and I'm like, I know she has a king, like I know she has a king.
Right.
Like I know it. And I was talking to myself out loud there, and I'm like, if I call, this is the worst call ever. I mean, I have literally a 2-outer. Like, I needed one of the last 2 jacks. That's the only way I can win that hand, because I knew she had a king. But I just like thought about it. I'm like, well, she only needs to not have a king like a pretty small percentage of the time for it to be an okay call. But I don't know. So I talked myself into calling, and lo and behold, she had ace king, which is exactly what I thought she had. And I lost, and I'm like, I mean, the bet of $50 was fine, but the last $75 was just me catching it on fire.
Yeah.
She went all in, so that was the last 75. But I mean, I was the one being like, if I make this call, I am a terrible player, and then I called anyway.
Yeah, I've had those moments plenty of times.
Yeah, it's just something that, I don't know. A lot of times when you're sitting down, like, you can tell, like, you're like, she has it. She definitely has it.
Yeah, and to me, like...
But then you just, like, think about the math, and you're like, she only needs to not have it, like, 15% of the time, and it's an okay call. But...
Yeah, I mean, definitely
there's
sort of that...
100% of the time there, and then she didn't have it.
The balance of sort of trusting your gut against the math
Right.
is an interesting portion of it. But and there is something to sort of... It's hard sometimes to talk yourself into... like patting yourself on the back for a smart fold, because a lot of times you're not going to even know if it was a smart fold because they can just muck. I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is it's very hard to convince yourself to do something that's going to result in an unknown.
Well, if you play 1-3, there's very little mucking.
Oh, really?
Like I said, players are not good. And I was guilty of it as well. I didn't muck too much, but it was more about building a rapport, and if I go back and stuff, and I don't know. It was just about getting my sea legs back under me. But I was kind of happy with how everything went, even though, like I said, that was a really bad call. There were a few times that I kind of whiffed on the flop, and I bet the flop anyway and got a call, and then I should have bet the turn, and I didn't, and I ended up just losing. Because...
So, not to talk shit about you, because this is not my intention. But I do.
No.
But I do, like, at least for me, when I play poker, you always have a couple hands that you play back in your mind because they're the big losers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since we already talked about baseball in the podcast, something that I think happens a lot with especially young pitchers when they come up and they get knocked around and, whatever, they give up a couple home runs, like a 3-run homer and a 2-run homer, is they're like, well, I only made the 2 mistakes, and they just happened to get hit out of the park. And it's like, well, probably in reality you made a bunch of mistakes.
Right.
And just 2 of them happened to get hit for home runs.
Or like, in reality, you made a bunch of mistakes, and one of them got hit for a home run, and then like one pretty good pitch got hit for a home run too.
Right. Yeah, and that's entirely accurate for poker, right? Like, you're going to have the good plays that...
No. Yeah, it's 100% accurate. I mean, the thing is, you cannot be results-oriented in poker. I mean, you can't be purely results-oriented in the short term in poker. I mean, of course, in the long term, you have to be results-oriented. That's all you can go on. But in the short term, results mean not nothing, but very little. You just have to go back and think about your play and think about what you could do better. And, the biggest hand I lost was pocket kings against, a board of like 8-2-2, and I raised them pretty significantly pre-flop, and a guy ended up having a 2. He stayed in with like, I don't know, 10-2 or something like that. So, that was just something that's like, that happens, So we ended up getting our stacks in, and I lost, but that wasn't a hand that upset me because I did the right thing. So, right. I mean, I wanted to stack off there, so...
Yeah, all you can do is get your money in when you know you're ahead.
Right. Well, I wasn't ahead, but there was no reason for me to expect the 2 there.
Yeah.
And I was the one leading the action. But yeah, anyway, like one of my big leaks that I need to plug is like I I had overcards a few times that I had raised pre-flop, and then the board was all blanks, and I called, or I bet on the flop, and then there was like one caller, and then I ended up, checking the turn or whatever, and I should have fired again, I think, and fired larger, but I mean, it's kind of a scary thing when you're sitting there, and especially when you haven't played in a while. But I think that's something I need to be a bit more aggressive and kind of follow through. Like, I'm good at betting the flop if I miss, but I wasn't aggressive enough on the turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a problem for me. I always sort of feel like I don't know what to do on the turn, and I'm analyzing this like I know what the hell I'm talking about, which I probably don't. But I'm going to keep going because that's what I do. Like when the other sort of side of that is everybody falls into this rhythm of only analyzing the big hands, right? And thinking about, well, that big hand, I did it right. That big hand, I did it wrong. But there are a lot of small hands that add up, right? Like a lot of little hills build a mountain or whatever.
That's the thing with, I mean, especially someone like, I think all of my friends basically are too conservative, which means like, yeah, they're going to win most of the pots they're in at Showdown, but I mean, I think that like I'm someone who's more aggressive, and like I'll pick up a lot of pots pre-flop or flop or whatever, and that's really what kind of adds up after a while.
Yeah, and so sort of like missing out on your chances to buy a pot where it's where you think, or it's pretty clear that nobody has anything. Which is always scary, right? When you know that you've just got jack shit, and
it's scary, man. And like it was twice that I should have bet the turn again, and I'm like, man, if he's sitting on something and he's just waiting to check raise me, like I'm just gonna get like that's just gonna feel awful. But I mean, sometimes you just need to be like, yeah, I'm gonna bet, and if he raises, I'm just gonna fold. So
right. I mean, I read Super System way back when we were in college, and that was one of the biggest and first lessons in the book is you need to win these small pots. You need to be buying pots when you can, and that's going to make a huge difference in your game in the long run. I mean, I think probably if you're playing against professionals like a lot, those lessons are very, very basic and they're not going to help you too much, but certainly in the card room at Horseshoe.
This has probably gone on like way too long already. And I'm sure like, are any of our listeners that are actually good at poker, like, rolling their eye. They're like dizzy because their eyes were rolling so much during our like fairly not advanced thoughts on poker. And
they're halfway through a 30 paragraph email. Yeah.
Right. But it's just, I mean, it's scary, and it feels like it sucks when you end up just like being like, the right play for me here is just I'm going to bet fold. Like I'm going to bet, and if it gets raised, I'm folding. But I mean, honestly, it's better, I'm sure, a lot of times compared to check folding, and it's something that like for me, like I'm fine, like pre-flop I have no problems opening, I have no problems being raising and being like, yeah, if I get raised again, I'm just folding. But when it's like by the time it's the turn, it's like pretty significant amounts of money. But I still don't think it's wrong to just go in and be like, well, I'm gonna bet, and if I get raised, I'm folding.
Yeah, that's probably more advanced than I can really talk to.
So, well, anyway, like I said, I had a lot of fun. I think I learned quite a bit. But, my sample size right now is not particularly large. Like I said, I played for quite a while. I ended up down $70, which in 1-3 I don't think is a whole lot. But no. It was a good time. It was I was happy to spend $70 on that 5 hours of entertainment and eat some pizza and had some drinks, and it was a nice way to spend a Tuesday when I was off work. So I may end up going either back to Horseshoe tomorrow or maybe to Maryland Live, because I hear that has a very nice poker room, which I've never played in. Yeah, so I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's something that I'm interested in doing a bit more often, but realistically, with where I am at life, having a 1.5-year-old, it's not like that often I'm going to get the opportunity. So. Anyway, let's move on to the news, I think.
Yeah.
Try to blow through it, since we're like, what, 35 minutes in now? Yeah.
To the poker episode.
Yeah.
But that's something that we never talk about. So if you have comments...
It's not only something that we never talk about, but I feel like it's something that, like, at least... Like, don't get me wrong, there's tons of poker podcasts if you like poker, but, like, kind of the general gambling podcasts, like, never talk about poker, basically, or very rarely.
It feels like a separate subset of people, right? Like they all like casinos, and they're all in the same casinos. But people who play poker tend to be very much poker players. People who gamble at tables and slots, like there's much more of an overlap between slot players and table players, right? Which
I don't know if that's true. I will say I suspect that slots and poker have very little overlap. But
yes, absolutely.
I think that both of those overlap with table players.
I would guess that there are more people.
Poker players like playing them some craps and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, but I would guess most poker players say like their reason for going to the casino is to play poker, and they're thinking about the game on a level that we've probably just disgraced with our last half an hour of conversation. But I don't know, fun to talk about at the very least. And if you have comments, feel free to
please
post them.
Let me know that I'm an idiot. I would love to hear it.
Let's do some news.
Yeah, let's try to blow through some news. I mean, some major things happen, but I don't think anything like super new or exciting has come out, so hopefully we can get through it quickly. So, all right, last episode, I think we were talking about some brewery moving into the Little Water distillery space, but you didn't know exactly what that distillery was off the top of your head,
or where it was from. I'm just woefully short on details.
So do you want to fill in some of the blanks?
Yeah, luckily Christian Hetrick from the Press of Atlantic City is an actual reporter and got actual information unlike me. So I'll link to his article. It is DeWalt Brewing Company, which is moving in actually adjacent to Little Water Distillery. I think fairly quickly. They got $1 million in tax credits from the Grow New Jersey program. That's spread out over 10 years. They hope to open in July, so we're talking, 3 months to get this thing done. It will include an outdoor beer garden. They right now brew 3 beers as their main or I guess 2 beers and a cider. A Noisy Lever Ale, which is a German-style lager. Ruby Diamond IPA, which is an IPA brewed with orange peel, or an orange peel blend. And then they have a mixed berry apple cider, which is alcoholic, of course. They're planning to expand their line of beers after they move. But obviously the turnaround, I mean, this news just came out March 28th, and they're talking about making this happen pretty fast. So this move from Reading, Pennsylvania, which is where they're coming from, to right around Little Water, should be happening fairly soon. So what do you think? Does this excite you? Do you want to do a tour? I know you mentioned that you like drinking at breweries.
I do. As you know from your bachelor party, perhaps I like drinking at breweries too much.
Yeah.
So,
I don't remember much of that, I gotta say.
Me either. I remember being... All right. No, anyway, let's stay on the subject.
Stay on subject.
We've already kind of wandered too far off the rails.
Yeah, there was no gambling at my bachelor party, so
there was no gambling, but there was certainly drinking, and ping pong. But I was sleeping during most of ping pong on bleachers.
Awesome.
All right. So anyway, I'd love to kind of do a tour, have a few drinks. Something else I saw, I think it's like 25 minutes, half hour away. There's another brewery kind of in Little Egg Harbor Township, I think, or regular Egg Harbor Township. Not too far away from Atlantic City. So, but I generally love breweries. But something else I have to say is, when we get to the 50th episode, I think it just needs to be like you reading down like either press releases or like lists of just information, like specific information about stories, like all the different beers they have, like what they're brewed with. Like it's very specific. Or like really our 50th episode should just be like you reading the Kiss Kiss a Go Go press release, like in a
that's
loop.
Brilliant. Well, what did it? Dispassionate dancers? Is that?
Yeah, with like lipstick, lipstick, something.
I still don't know what the hell dispassionate means. We'll work on that. I'll find some old Atlantic City phone book or something, and we'll do it. I do enjoy it. I don't know why. It's a stupid thing. Add that to the list along with making indoors look like outdoors as stupid things that Craig likes.
Things you like.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this because for a couple reasons. One, I like beer and I like breweries. This is going to be the first sort of legit full brewery in Atlantic City. There is Ton Tavern, which is a brew pub. They have a very restricted license that says they can brew on the premises and sell on the premises. I think they can also sell growlers and distribute at things like beer festivals, like AC Beer Fest. But they can't distribute wider than that. So DeWalt will be able to distribute much wider, even beyond state lines. I really like that this is right next to Little Water because it creates sort of this booze district, which I think is cool. And hopefully this is the start of something bigger, whether that's, I don't know, what we've talked about with booze on the boardwalk or sort of Atlantic City's version of Bourbon Street, or just attracting more brewers and distilleries into Atlantic City. The thing that I don't know what the economics are like for breweries, but for something like a brew pub, it's entirely reliant on the local market, right? Like that you have to get people in the door, they have to order food and beer. The brewery is going to have sort of income obviously from the tasting room, but they're distributing. So it's interesting because, you know, if you talk about sort of the difficulty to attract people to non-gambling things in Atlantic City, like they don't necessarily have to rely upon that. So to me, it's interesting from that aspect. And I'm guessing a tasting room will do better in Atlantic City than in Reading, Pennsylvania, although I don't know much about Reading, Pennsylvania. So it'll be interesting to see how well it does.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I'd be happy to check out regardless. And hopefully they do well, and you know, hopefully they end up deciding it was a good deal. I mean, with the size of the tax breaks they're getting, it seems like it should be, especially like, you know, does it really matter like where that is? I mean, obviously Atlantic City is probably better than Reading just because there's more kind of tourists coming in, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully it's something that makes people excited and they go do it. I definitely want to go when it opens, so
I'll
we'll
go.
See.
I'm in.
So, want to move on from things opening to things closing?
Yeah,
Getting shut down.
Yeah, I actually independently saw this story. It just came out today, right?
Yes.
About the Crafters Village at Gardner's Basin is being forced to shut down by the National Park Service, basically because I believe the Gardner's Basin is on National Parks land. Is that right?
It's funded by this Green Acres grant.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's funded with National Parks money, and I guess in conjunction with the state's Department of Environmental Protection. I'm not sure exactly how Green Acres work, but basically they got funding for park related stuff for that area to build it up. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, basically what these sheds are, it's basically like little shops that sell, I guess, generally like knickknacks, dolls, jewelry, stuff like that. And in the story that I read, I'm not sure if it's the exact same story you have linked, but you know, someone from the state or the federal government said that, yeah, like this is not an appropriate use of this land. Like selling jewelry is not appropriate, but if it was a bait and tackle shop, that would be appropriate because it kind of helps contribute to recreation. So, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like, you know, from what I read about it, they're still going to try to appeal this and at the very least get this pushed back a year that they have to move because all the shop owners have apparently already bought inventory for this summer coming up. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, from what I read, it sounded like nothing was kind of set in stone. It was just the initial notice was given.
Yeah, and the retailers were told to pack up their shit and get out, basically. I mean, the person who I think owns or runs the Crafters Village sent out a notice to I think it's only 10 vendors saying, look, we got this notice. You got to get your stuff out and turn in your keys. It sucks, but
yeah, but it sounds like they're appealing or whatever. It doesn't sound like that's necessarily a done deal. Yeah,
the city's looking for alternate solutions. Apparently the little shacks are fairly mobile, so they may be able to move them somewhere else. They may be able to, like you said, appeal to delay it a year. Mm-hmm. One interesting thing, and how it sort of relates to the last story, is that the Park Service had actually nixed Little Water Distillery moving to Gardner's Basin for the same reason, because of the Green Acres grant, saying like, well, distilling alcohol doesn't really contribute to the park's mission.
It doesn't sound like what the National Park Service wants.
It's recreation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Drinking. That's my recreation. So it's disappointing. I've never been over there, so I can't really say too much.
True.
But certainly when
Paul and I have been.
But the crafters were probably not open at that time.
No, it was like 8 a.m. in December or something, so it's not prime time.
But I mean, it's sad because it's something that I always had on my list, and specifically the Crafters Village, for something on a trip with my wife that would be cool to just pop over to, maybe get breakfast over there at Gilchrist and then walk through, because it always looked kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, the aquarium's supposed to be nice.
Yeah, that's what Bill and Eleanor told us, I think.
Yeah, so you look at pictures of it, and it's sort of this like it's these cute little shacks that sell stuff. I mean, it's kind of interesting. So it's sad. Hopefully they figure something out that's not too disruptive for these vendors, because it seemed like it was fairly popular, or at least people thought it was interesting. So should we
keep going?
Move on from that to Harrah's. So
run with it.
Harrah's food court is gone. They have already put up temporary barriers. Snickers 99 Poker on Twitter let us know with a tweet about this. Initially, he had heard from, I guess, a security guard that it was going to become a guy's chop house or something like that. But by the time he left his trip just a couple days later, they had already had the temporary barriers up with logos for what's actually going to be there, which are Guy's Sandwich Joint, SAMMICH. So I hope your eyes are rolling at appropriate
Classic
levels.
Guy Fieri.
I'm sure there will be donkey sauce on everything. And Pinup Pizza, which Pinup Pizza is, I think, only has one other location, which is in Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. They specialize in enormous jumbo slices, which if you're from the DC area,
grew up in the DC area, you're familiar with.
Yeah, from Adams
If
Morgan.
you're of a certain age.
Yeah. Well, Hoboken has jumbo slice at one place, and New York City has them. Coronet Pizza up around Harlem is very good jumbo slice, but that's not what you're here to hear about. So it has 4 stars on Yelp. It's supposed to be very good. I don't know how relevant Las Vegas's location is to AC, but presumably it will be a good place to grab a giant slice after you go to the pool after dark, which is what this is directly across from.
So for reference, how many stars does Secret Pizza have?
I do not know. You can't just ask me that with no warning. I'm going to look it up right now. But
yeah. I bet it's either 4 or 4.5.
I don't think it's that high.
You don't think so? You think it's like 3.5?
Well, I don't think it's 4.5. It is 4.
Okay.
Which way more reviews, I think, of Secret Pizza than Pinup. But so I don't know. I thought the pizza at the previous place was fine. I didn't think there was anything to write home about. I mean,
I don't remember getting it ever.
So interestingly, we talked about the generic movement at Harrah's, and this goes the other direction. So they had generic donut shop, generic pizza shop.
Yeah. It's score 1 in the court of them just breaking up with the
Be Our Guest hospitality.
Be Our Guest. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm always happy to have named things because I think it's more exciting than something like Harrah's Donut Shop. But I do wonder if we're reaching Guy Fieri's saturation. So Guy's Sandwich Joint.
I hope so.
So Guy's Sandwich Joint does not exist anywhere else. So this is a first, at least as far as I could tell. So I think you just made your answer pretty clear. But does AC need more Guy?
I will say, and if you're a longtime listener of the show, you might remember me saying this, but as much as I love to hate on him, when we went and ate it at the Horseshoe in Baltimore, at whatever the Guy Fieri restaurant is there, the actual sit-down restaurant, not the one in the food court.
American whatever grill. Or
yeah, it was pretty decent. It wasn't awful. So I will say that. I'm sure that this is probably going to be fine too, but it is an awful lot of Guy Fieri.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing about this one is, I'm sure it's more in vein of Guy's barbecue joint that's at Bally's, which is basically...
If you want to know more about it, just be anywhere on the boardwalk near Bally's, and you will...
Every 10 seconds hear the Guy's barbecue advertisement that Bill from Route 40 could recite, I think.
Yes.
His impression was extremely good, so we'll give him credit for that. So that is more of a stack. It's a walk-up order. They give it to you on a tray, and you take it away, a snack stand. So this, I'm assuming it's going to be similar to that. So I don't know. I mean, whether Guy's name is on that or not, like, does that really make a difference? But I don't know. I guess it's no different than having any other sandwich shop there. Do you prefer Guy's sandwich joint to Sack of Subs? Pepper steak?
Will it have peppers?
Will it have a pepper steak? Will it have a...
Have we explained that inside joke?
Oh, yes, we've explained the pepper steak.
Okay, good. It's the ultimate inside joke between me and Craig. It's not as good anymore since Sack of Subs is gone. But...
Right. Yeah, in case you missed it, the very, very short version is that I ordered a pepper steak, and it was 98% absolute bottom of the jar, really soggy, gross peppers, and very little steak.
You just dumped the bottom of the jar onto the bread, and it was like 80% liquid and 20% peppers.
It was inedible. Yeah, it was bad. So we have frequently joke about getting a pepper steak, and we will randomly G-chat each other saying, "Man, I'm really craving a pepper steak from Sack of Subs."
It hasn't happened in a while, but yeah, especially like 2 years ago, that was like the go-to.
Well, maybe 2 years from now, it will be, "Man, I'm really craving whatever's smothered in donkey sauce, like with extra sauce."
When the next time we go to Harrah's, you'll get some sandwich and it'll be like 80% donkey sauce, 20% meat.
Yeah, it'll be like one chicken tender on like a giant piece of bread and just like drenched in donkey sauce. I can't believe we're sitting here besmirching the sterling reputation of Guy.
Oh, man.
But anyways,
right.
I think the main point is just the generic thing that we wrung our hands about so much, maybe more Be Our Guest related than this some grand scheme
to take everything over themselves.
Yeah.
Although it seems like, I mean, do we know that it seems like Caesars and Guy are in pretty close cahoots?
Oh, yeah.
They might have a share of all that anyway, so I don't know if it's totally...
Yeah, and we've seen that with Gordon Ramsay, is like he has a deal with Caesars that says he has to open X number of restaurants, and it's pretty specific, I think. One of the Vegas blogs posted it, but I'm assuming have some...
Guy hasn't beat, I think, since he has basically 2 restaurants in every property.
Yeah, good point.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
All right.
But I don't know.
I think go ahead.
No, I don't know how much he has in Vegas. It seems like it's mostly AC, and then they're like
Baltimore
Maryland, Baltimore,
too.
like non-Vegas properties. But anyways, let's
move on.
Very, very briefly talk about the fact that 10 has a casino open
online,
not and for play money. Yeah. So before you get too excited, it is what they're calling a social casino, which just means you play, and it says like James T won $10,000, which means nothing because it's play chips. So a quick tip of the cap to Mark C. in the Facebook group for pointing this out. I'll link to an article about it. I did not go on and play because honestly, like, who gives a shit about a social casino?
Money, right?
I don't even play Caesar's social casino on Facebook.
Only My Vegas for you.
Only My Vegas, because you play and you win real rewards, Kyle, as the advertising says. I haven't actually been playing much My Vegas lately. So, I don't know. Any thoughts? Social casino? I mean,
nope.
It would...
None.
Does this change your opinion at all about, like, clearly they're moving toward opening? You don't think
don't care.
This affects nothing? You don't even take this as a positive sign of marketing?
Nope.
I'll take it as like...
okay, yeah, it seems it's something, right? They've done something.
It's literally more than nothing.
Right.
Like, that is the
only good thing I can say about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, what about things moving much more toward actual stuff happening?
Yeah, so the, something we've talked about the last few episodes, the Taj sale, it has actually finalized. A bunch of the the bigwigs, I guess, from Hard Rock came up and did a press conference where they talked about all of the renovations that they are going to do to the property on Wednesday, including a complete renovation of all the guest rooms, which, do you know how many there are, Craig? It's quite a bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, I want to say it's 2,600, but I'm totally pulling that number.
That's a lot. Like redesigning and doing a complete remodel of the casino floor, all new restaurants. I mean, it's basically everything that was there is getting renovated. It sounds like. The only thing I remember they said that they're like, yeah, the facade outside is kind of fine, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're going to do a ton. They're power washing.
That's the only thing that it sounds like they're not totally renovating.
Yeah. Let's see how many rooms. 2,010 rooms, so it's a lot. 2,600 was too many, but over 2,000 rooms. They said Jim Allen, the CEO, or the chairman, was very, very clear that this is not just replacing the linens, it's not just replacing the mattresses. This is a full redesign of the rooms, full refreshing of the rooms, or renovation of the rooms. Not a refreshing, but a renovation. He also, you will appreciate this, said that they are doing a complete redesign and complete remodel of the casino floor. One of the things he mentioned that the casino floor is a little weird because even though it's enormous, there are walls that create strange narrow passages, and he's not a fan of that. Trop actually has that issue, very much so.
Yes.
So seems like they're gonna totally gut that thing and do it up in Hard Rock style, which I'm assuming will mean a much more open layout. They're having all new restaurants, which would not come as a surprise to anyone.
What does this mean for White House?
Good question. Who knows what's good? That area is so far off the.
Yeah, you want to talk about like weirdly designed areas? That whole
Spice Road.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with all that. But the number $375 million for renovations is way higher than what we heard before. They said 300.
Yeah, when it was 300 total between purchase and renovations before, right?
Yeah, so I wonder if they got in there and said, "Wow, this place is huge." I'm assuming they did their due diligence on that before they bought.
Holy crap! I thought we bought the Trump Plaza. It's much smaller.
Yeah. So a couple other interesting things he said, Jim Allen said, were that they wanted to announce and come up and say it was done when something was actually done and happening. And he specifically said how frustrating it was, or how frustrating it is in any market when something gets announced and then you just never hear about it again, which is something we talked about last episode as a concern about basically any new development. But, you know, that happened with the original plans for a water park at Atlantic Club. So I sort of appreciated that. Like, I almost took it as sort of a nod to the people who follow development in Atlantic City of like, you guys have been teased so many times, like we're actually here and the purchase is complete and stuff's happening. So that was cool. He also mentioned they're not changing the name of Mark Edis Arena. I don't know if that really affects anyone, but Mark Edis was an executive at the Trump Taj Mahal who died in a helicopter crash. So they're not changing that out of respect. But one thing he did say about the music venues is, obviously, it's Hard Rock. They can attract big names, and they plan to attract big names all throughout the week. And he said Atlantic City has turned into a 1.5 night town, and he wants to make sure that it's going to have live entertainment all week long. I thought that was interesting because I think that's definitely true. It's pretty rare that you get a midweek concert in Atlantic City, and typically if there is one, it's a huge, huge show that is at Boardwalk Hall. It's not one of the casino shows. So it would be very cool if, I mean, especially off-peak, I'm assuming in the summer this is going to happen, no problem. It'll be interesting to see if when October, November, December roll around, if they're still having Wednesday night shows. But if they're attracting big names, people will come. So that should be cool. Any thoughts about Hard Rock? I actually watched the press conference, which was very much of a party. It was like, yeah, look, we've got a Bruce Springsteen cover band and little Steven Van Zandt, who is in The Sopranos and is in the E Street Band with Bruce Springsteen. He was there to talk about it. So it was interesting. It was very sort of like, this is how awesome Hard Rock is. This is how we're going to kick ass, which, a lot of it was just kind of corporate BS, but still cool to see the first inklings of a plan.
The corporate BS, it kind of worked. I feel slightly more excited for Hard Rock than I was before. So, good. I mean, I don't really have too much else to say. I mean, we're still a pretty long way off from it actually opening, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's move on from Hard Rock. Hopefully we'll see some stuff happening there with them knocking down pillars and replacing room stuff, furniture, and all that stuff very, very soon. No opening date, by the way. Don Guardian again said something about 2018, but
yeah, summer of next year is what seems to be said over and over again, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they said anything specific.
Yeah, I would guess it'd be slightly before. They'd be aiming for like just before Memorial Day next year. That's what I would be aiming for anyway if I was them.
But it's such a huge project that who knows what's going to get delayed. So they may be non-committal right now to any sort of set timeline for summer.
Cool.
Showboat.
So
much maligned Showboat.
Much maligned on the podcast and outside of it. So they have announced, I guess, what they're doing with the property, right? So,
well, certainly a big portion of the property.
150,000 square feet of the property, which seems like a lot of square feet. They're going to turn it into an area called the Atlantic City Fan Expo that is designed to attract millennials to the boardwalk to Atlantic City, to the Showboat specifically, I guess. Basically, what they seem to be trying to do is, from looking at their website, they're going to be running basically like mini conventions every single weekend during the summer, this summer, which is not very far away. Though it's definitely very, very short on details. Which you can buy passes to like individual conventions if something's interesting to you, or get a summer pass and be able to go to all of them. It's run by a company out of Indiana called Venturis Partners, which there is definitely not a lot of information on. But, we were talking before the show started about how it was kind of weird that a company out of Indiana got this contract for Atlantic City. But some of the things they mentioned were that it's going to they're going to convert the House of Blues into an esports arena of all things. It's going to have board games, video games, cosplay, anime, kind of all the normal stuff you'd expect out of something that's going to be basically like try to be a convention every weekend. They're turning the volleyball courts into the Sandlot Beer Garden with obviously beer, live music, movies, general entertainment. So yeah, this is a lot. I will say that once this got announced in the Facebook group, people definitely seemed underwhelmed, though it was probably mostly the demographic that they were not aiming for that was underwhelmed. I don't know. Do you have anything to add, Craig, before we talk a bit more about it?
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously been bullish on esports. We've talked about Comic Cons, and I mean, I'd certainly be interested to see what this means. Quick quote from Derek Pugh, who is a partner in Venturous Partners, since I love to read quotes. We wanted to create the most perfect shore experience we could, someplace we would want to spend all our time and someplace our children would want to spend all their time. So it's interesting. They are not being shy about the millennial marketing on this. They are running a sort of mini convention every weekend from Memorial Day to Labor Day, which is 15 weekends. It only gives them about 6 or 7 weeks to...
Right, Memorial Day is next month.
Up and running. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I feel like my concern is obviously that it's short notice and it's a lot. Like the scope is just enormous.
It seems so ambitious. It just, my initial impression looking at all this is like they're not going to be able to do this. Like they're not going to have like 15 conventions basically this summer that are actually going to have like any people attended, can they?
Yeah, I don't. It's such an insane marketing challenge.
At least some have to be total duds, or just will end up being canceled. Like, that's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's sort of semi-permanent aspects to the individual cons. Like maybe there's some vendors that are there all the time.
There's going to be vendors that are go to all 15. That certainly makes sense.
But like you said, I mean, there are very few details. We don't know the pricing for either the weekend passes or the full summer pass. We don't know what any of the themes are, although obviously comics, board games, video games, anime were all mentioned. The esports thing would imply video gaming, but I don't know. I mean, I'll be interested to see what the schedule is. I think one of the things that we've talked about and that I talked about with our friend Andy, just in sort of kicking around the ideas of what I think the website went live either last night or this morning, and just kind of has some general stuff about what they're sort of who they're aiming at without a whole lot of detail about what's going to happen.
Very general.
Yeah.
Very short on details.
Is what you just said, which is like, how do you do this 15 weekends in a row and drum up...
Starting in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, and drum up the attraction for every week, for every weekend. And I don't... It's a tough marketing challenge, so I'm interested to see what they have up their sleeve, if it's going to be really cool stuff, or if it's going to be sort of smaller and it's going to be cheap enough to get people in the door. I mean, who knows what their deal is? I'm assuming it's some kind of lease deal with Showboat, so who knows what they need to do to be profitable? A lot of questions. I
mean, yeah. So I don't know. We'll consider kind of having those people on and asking them some questions. But my like very initial impression is like, this is what someone would do if it was like a 50-year-old guy who wears a suit and is like looking at spreadsheets and is like, wow, like these conventions, like this is really big business. Like we need to do that.
Well, I mean, the first thing I looked at, like you mentioned, they're out of Indiana. So obviously a question would be, you know, what sort of leads to this connection, right? You know, I mean, and maybe that's something as straightforward as they've been looking to do this in Atlantic City a long time. And, but who knows?
Or they already have some relationship with Gladstein or something.
Yeah. Or it's just that it was cheap and it was an opportunity. Who knows? But, yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I went to look and see if I could figure out is what had Venturis Partners done in the past that would give us some idea of what their acumen for this is. And there's just nothing out there. So it's really tough to make any sort of judgment or assessment. I mean, I am optimistic about it just because we know nothing about it, and I want it to be good because I want something at Showboat to be good. And I think, and maybe also optimistic about it because it's so in my like wheelhouse for things that I'm interested in. So I'm letting my imagination run wild and thinking like, oh man, like I want to see like a little mini Comic-Con, or I want to see video games. Like I want to see them have everybody come and bring their Nintendo Switch, and everybody will sit around playing each other in whatever Nintendo Switch games are out, which right now there aren't really any games that make that possible, and not enough people have a Nintendo Switch to even make that possible because you can't get them in stores. So clearly I'm like totally letting myself get ahead of the facts here, which probably does not surprise anyone who's listening. But I'd be interested to see how this unfolds. Obviously, we're going to have to get details incredibly fast because the turnaround is very fast. And I think, to me, the biggest thing I just want to know is how are they going to market this thing? Because it's a huge project. I mean, it's so much time to fill, and This is
the problem. I mean, I would be incredibly excited if this was a thing that was happening and they're like, we really think that like esports and these cons are like the future and we're going to do 4 this summer or something like that. I'd be like, okay, this seems like cool and reasonable, but this is just too ambitious. Like I look at their plan and I'm like, it's too ambitious. This can't work, right? Who are they going to partner with to be able to get in there? Like, how are they going to convince people to come to this? I just don't think it can happen. It can't happen 15 weekends in a row.
I think there's got to be duplicate, right? Like, there's got to be an esports tournament one weekend and then another one the next weekend. Like, oh, you couldn't make it to this one, you can come to this one.
Yeah,
So
okay,
I don't
sure,
know.
but that's fine. They can do that, and they can have the same vendors 15 times, and maybe they can have some like local celebrities do meet and greets 15 times. But it's, the kind of people that are willing to do stuff like that, and the kind of events that people are happy to put on 15 weekends in a row, aren't the kind of things that actually get people to come out.
Just given the number of weekends in a row, and this is all speculative, so maybe we should stop speculating and I should stop letting my mind run wild. But I do sort of think maybe thinking about it in terms of cons, like little mini cons, is probably, or maybe too aggressive.
150,000 square feet, Craig. There's nothing mini about it.
Big. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I'm sort of thinking in my mind that the space is smaller than that, and it's sort of like the pop-up shop of cons. Like, you don't necessarily need a bunch of people there to sign stuff if it's just like, hey, we're going to have a bunch of people here, like, selling cool shit and some artifacts and stuff, and you can come in and check it out, pay a few bucks to come check it out. But we have no clue. We have no clue what's planned.
We have no idea. Like I said, I think it could be an awesome idea to do something like this, but you can't do it 15 weeks in a row this summer.
Yeah. I don't know.
That can't happen.
There's got to be some wrinkle to the plan that we're just not thinking about.
If Bart Blatstein is happy to or Venturous Partners or someone is happy just to hemorrhage money this summer. I mean, that's
I just can't imagine.
The only thing that would make sense.
I'm gonna be the optimistic person and say there's some angle we're not thinking about. Maybe that's just the fact that they had a cool splash page and I liked it. So
and it had Peanut World on it.
Well, that was Venturous's splash page, which also excited me. Their site has a picture of the boardwalk with Peanut World prominently featured, and I was just like,
the worst store in the world.
But we'll see. I mean, it seems like they're getting a pretty full run of the place with 150,000 square feet. So,
I mean, here's the thing: if it's like something like even remotely interesting, and if the ticket prices are like remotely reasonable, like it's something that sure I'd love to walk through it for an hour if it cost me $10 to get a ticket to go in and just see what's going on. But even if it's something like that, it's going to be depressing in there because there's going to be no one there.
Man, but we have so little information.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, well, are we ready to close this thing out? This has been the longest episode ever.
It has definitely not been the longest episode ever, but it's long.
All right, so if you're interested in talking with us or any of our other listeners or people who love Atlantic City, you can join our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/do-for-a-win. You can find all of our extremely great content at doforawin.com, which is really just our podcast.
With links to articles. Yeah,
that's true. If you want to read the links to the articles or see our maybe 2 stories a year that we actually post on there. If you want to listen to our podcast, you've done a good job. But just in case you don't know how this has happened, you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, and maybe YouTube.
I tried and I got an exporting error, so I gave up. But I'll try again.
All right. And you can reach out to us on Twitter at DoForAWin, or send questions to us at doforawin@gmail.com. I don't know. Any last words?
No. Just good luck if you're going to Atlantic City, as always. If you have thoughts on the AC Fan Expo, either positive or negative, share them in the Facebook group and we'll talk about it. Although I think quite a few of you have already voiced your opinion.
Yeah, and it hasn't been very positive. So... Well, we'll see. I'm not sure when we'll have the next episode because, like I said, maybe we'll try to have some guests on, or maybe not. But, we'll talk to you guys sometime in the next couple weeks.
In a perfect world, I'd like our episodes to be like 55 or something, but I just don't think that's reasonable, especially with me purposely trying to derail us to talk about random shit at the beginning of the episodes.